All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to a special Thursday session. This is our second to last session for our public Zoom complimentary martial arts classes. And I think altogether, when I was looking at everything with a couple of breaks that I took, I think it's been 18 weeks total. So it's been my great pleasure to offer this as we're coming into the tail end of this 100 hours of complimentary martial arts classes for anybody for whom it may be useful. So it is truly, it's my great pleasure. We'll start Wing Chun in just a second. You know, I want to do this at the very beginning. So once again, in March, when everything kind of got shut down, you know, I closed my academy in Midtown Manhattan because we were getting ready to move into a larger space. And honestly, thank goodness we didn't rent that space, because we would have had a larger space we were paying rent on that we couldn't use. So everything moved to the living room. And as I've been very upfront with everybody about, it's not exactly a dedicated martial arts training hall, but you know, we've been able to train people all around the world and get some really good work done, and it's been really rewarding. So, you know, anybody who's watching this or taking this, thank you so much for your time, and I'm very, very grateful. Two other little shameless plugs. Tomorrow, I am teaching a 2-hour workshop through Zoom on stick fighting. I'm being hosted by Pakiti Tercia, specifically Agalon Jade Gahi, that's Grand Tuhan Gahi's daughter, who's really spearheaded the leadership for Pakiti Tercia in the United States and Canada. And it's a $20 workshop for 2 hours. It's ptkgtsusa@gmail, and you can use PayPal or Zelle or Facebook Pay, and then just send an email to that same address to let them know that you've paid, and you'll get the link. But it's going to be really fun tomorrow. And then the only other commercial part of our broadcast, if you would like to continue with me, you know, I'm no longer in a position from a business standpoint to offer complimentary classes. This certainly, I met my goal. I put a lot of content out into the world to help people. That was the initial kind of charge for this. And in doing so, I've added some other formal members to my learning community, several of whom are on this class right now, and I'm really grateful for that. But if anybody would like to continue training with me in these classes and actually earning rank from anywhere in the world, and I'm saying the world because I have members as far away as Australia, please go to Stoops, OMALC.com, like online martial arts learning community. All right, I think that's enough commercial part of our offerings. Let's bow the class in. Chinese, Filipino, Thai, Indonesian, French, and Dog Brothers, Japanese, and we'll do those salutations at the beginning and end of every segment 4 times throughout the evening. That's just those are my little bookends of respect for all the martial arts that influence us regardless of what we're studying. So if you want to start with your feet together and then open your toes and open your heels out, your hands are going to be up. We're going to be in our formal training posture. Make 2 fists for me. Every time we rotate fist over fist, and we do technically 1, 2, 3 punches, that is a set. So we're going to warm up kind of using this methodology with a couple different modalities. So to start, we're going to be static. We're going to do 10 sets. We're not going to rotate our body because we're in the formal modality of Wing Chun right now, which is all about dominating center line through hand positioning. So fist over fist, you're hitting the same point in space. The visual that I'd like to give you again is the gear in the, you know, the chain for a bicycle, and that's a fixed point just rotating end over end. with that chain leading the way. Okay, so here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, and let's pause there. Open your fingers and rotate to your left. Give me one set here. 1. Open your fingers, go to the center. 2. Open, go to your right. 3. Open, center. 4. Open, left. 5. Open, center. 6. Open, right. 7. Open, center. 8. Open, left. 9. Open, center. 10. Very nice. Okay, and now let's everybody stand on our right foot, left foot up in the air, and if you have a balance check, it's really no big deal. And we're going to do 15. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, switch feet. Get your balance on the other side. Same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. And Wing Chun is going to be, for this session, is going to be, again, focused on solo training. For this session, there's plenty of footage on the YouTube channel, what a lot of these drills look like with a partner. I also want to continue some of the work that we were doing on Monday, looking at how one might train the dummy sessions with no dummy. So learning them in the air. If you are like me now, I'm the head instructor of my little organization, but currently I don't have a Wing Chun dummy available to me. As I've been saying, and not in any kind of ungrateful way, my apartment is very nice by New York City standards. I don't have a backyard, I don't have a basement, I don't have a garage. So all the kind of outdoor additional or extra space that one might keep, like a Wing Chun dummy or a heavy bag or stuff like that, I don't really have any of that. So if that's your reality is my reality. I want to spend a little bit of time, and it's actually a really important methodology in case you're traveling and for whatever reason, if you don't have access to your Wing Chun dummy, with Sifu's methodology of counting, Francis Fong, it's still something that is, I'm going to make up a word here, that's very practicable if you are solo, if you know it, okay? And we'll get there in a moment. So if we get back in our formal posture, if we have left hand doing a bong sao, right hand doing a tan sao, our first drill is to lop sao with our right hand and then come over the top with this punch with our left hand and then return back so that you're going offense, defense, offense, defense, offense, defense, offense, defense. And what's nice about having a learning community is you have people like Conrad, and she's out of the shot, so I'm assuming that's Sasha, but Conrad showing you what this might look like if you have a partner. So this is great. So you can see me do it, you can see Karen doing it solo, and you can see Conrad executing what the drill would look like if you had a partner available to you, okay? So, and then you might also, everybody, you might switch sides. So right hand bong sao, left hand tan sao, and then your left hand would be lopping, your right hand would be striking. Defense, offense, defense, offense, defense, offense, defense, offense. Okay, and again, you can see Karen working on it solo. You can see Conrad and Sasha working on it, what it might look like if you have a partner. And in my own organization, you know, I've started taking Sifu Fong's curriculum, which is written, and just filtering and making a few little changes here and there. And those changes are really kind of dictated by some of the things that we're already training, maybe in JKD or some of the areas. I'm going to say explicitly on this recording, when it comes to Wing Chun, to think that I know more than Sifu Francis Fong is pretty silly. So when I talk about modifying the curriculum, that's what I mean. Just kind of making modifications to make things a little clearer, a little bit more clear for people in my organization. Okay, time. So we're back in our posture. We're still in the drill section. Now, when we say drill section, the visual that I like to give you is if you and your partner had a soft stick and you were holding it between you and your sternum using nothing but just pressure, if you rotated, that stick is going to drop. So in the drills modality, you don't want any body rotation. You're not, and in fact, you're not allowed to do that aloud with air quotes around it, because in this modality, we are full front. My sternum is facing my partner's sternum in alignment, and we're staying here dominating center line. So in that first drill, it's just the hand positioning on either side, as I was just describing it to you, okay? So this way I don't miss anything. All right, so next one. If you're by yourself, all you're gonna work on is this. This is your juts out. And then this is great. You get to see me do it. You get to see Karen working on it solo, and you get to see Conrad working on it with Sasha. And Sasha's just giving that same Jik Chun Choi, battle punch feed. And then Conrad's just working his juts out, okay? And for everybody out there training or watching this after the fact, this sinking and kind of enveloping of the line of attack, that's really what we're talking about. I've discussed this before. Usually in most Wing Chun circles, when we define Jutsao in English, we say jerking hand. And I disagree as far as word choice and diction there, because jerky, something that's jerky to me implies like kind of random or awkward. This is really smooth. And like I say, you just kind of absorb that line. Yeah, right? So as you're seeing Conrad work on it with Sasha, it's just that sinking that absorbs that line of attack. So if I was your feeder, I'd be here. This would be your right hand, just smothering that, your left hand. And, I'm showing you all the different vantage points because I have the benefit of a few excellent people that are training along with me today that have been training with me for a while now. And so this way you get to experience everything. And, currently in my organization, we have some people like Rob and Karen that even, knock on wood, when our whole society is able to open again safely and everybody's able to be healthy and we can all come back together for face-to-face training, Rob and Karen, and then Brendan's on screen right now, they're all the way in Illinois, okay? So even when things are open, the odds of them, commuting for regular classes with me in New York City are slim. And obviously I'm making a joke, okay? So they'll remain distance students, but the really neat part of this is throughout the last 18 weeks, we've kind of identified some people, like I say, not in these classes, it's been more in the United States, but like one of my members in Australia is really active within our members portal, and it's been really rewarding. But something that we've been talking about, we want to provide both kinds of materials. So what you're seeing right now, you're seeing Conrad and Sasha do the drill, and in the context of if you have a partner available, Brendan was just in there for a moment with training with Karen. If you don't have a partner available, and you're probably going to hear me say this several times throughout the evening, in the different context of whatever we're studying. This is not about me as the instructor lowering my standards. This is the way that you can train, and this is the way that you can work on developing proficiency right now until you can safely get back together with your regular training partners. And what I've been saying through this whole time, or at least for the last month or so, let's not have the pandemic result in like a figurative pit of 5 months of non-training that you've got to climb your way out of. So no, I mean, I'd much rather be there face to face with you, actually allowing you to feel the energy and then make corrections. But think about it like this. If you're learning this through the technology, when you are finally able to get a training partner in front of you, it's going to go that much faster, rather than saying, well, I'm going to wait till we can train again safely. Well, we all want that, but we don't know when that is going to be. So I'm a fan of leveraging the technology. All right, so that was our Jut Sao. Now let's move to our Tan Sao. So this is your Tan Sao here. Okay, so we're talking about this hand. It means showing hand. The only tension, again, is in your thumb, not these 4 fingers. And if you've watched any of my other Wing Chun videos, you probably know, sometimes I have these weird, my mother has the same thing where it's hereditary, where kind of sometimes our pinkies at rest are bent. So I don't want you to think I'm being a hypocrite. Your 4 fingers are completely relaxed. The only tension in your hand is in your thumb. But you really, your hand positioning is kind of secondary to your elbow. So if you freeze out a Tan Sao, take your other hand and do the hang loose, like the surfer sign. Take your thumb, put it against your navel, and your pinky should be able to touch your elbow. And that's typically how we measure that. It's a little bit deceptive in Wing Chun because we're always saying Sao, showing hand, Sao means hand. Tan Sao, showing hand. Hun Sao, circling hand. Pak Sao, slapping hand. Jut Sao, jerking hand. And while that's true, and those are those relative hand positions, we're always going to be mindful of where our elbows are at any given time. So here, as you're expressing this, I want you to think about how you measured that with that hang loose sign, with the free hand. And I want you to make sure that you're cognizant of having your elbow trying to occupy center line. That you're not, I'm going to do it wrong now on purpose, everybody. Please don't do it this way. That you're not doing this, because this is not Wing Chun, right? You're definitely not dominating center line, even though you're kind of doing a Tan Sao technically. This is all about center line. And if you're watching Conrad and Sasha do it, Sasha's feeding, Conrad's on the inside. The Tan Sao would be on the inside. If you have a partner, Karen's drilling it by herself, focusing also on center line, doing it properly. She's not rotating her shoulders, because as you're watching the feeder with whomever is the feeder, and now Conrad's the feeder with Sasha and Conrad, the feeder is still feeding that first motion that we all started with, that super clean Jik Chun Choi, the battle punches, the straight blast. Those are all synonyms for the same thing. So in this drill, both people are training properly. The feeder, I'm going to do it wrong again. Sometimes feeder will go like that. This is the opposite of what you want, because you're not, this isn't Wing Chun. In Wing Chun, I dominate, or I attempt to dominate, center line. So as you see right now, Sasha's the one doing her Tan Saos. Conrad's still firing on center line, and Sasha's cutting that line on the inside with her Tan Sao. So neither individual has to sacrifice the quality of his or her training so the other person can be successful. Even if you're the feeder, you're focused on giving high quality reps of these battle punches or chain punches. Okay, so that looks really nice. That was our next one. That's our Tan Sao. We're going to move on to our Jop Sao. Our Jop Sao chops in. It's a chopping type motion from the outside and stops on center line. This would be wrong to go through. Okay, something bad is going to happen to me in the context of Wing Chun. And this as well, that's wrong on purpose. So if I had a feeder, or if I was your feeder, imagine that you're cutting on the outside. And we want to go a little higher on this. We don't want to be on the wrist. We want to be more on the forearm. And you're cutting in, intercepting that line as your partner is feeding. Okay, so again, you have the benefit. Conrad and Sasha are drilling it, what it would look like if you have a partner available to you. Right now, Conrad's a feeder, Sasha's doing the Jop Saos. And then you also get to see what it would look like if you're by yourself, as far as Karen doing it in the air. And again, for everybody watching, my organization is really focused right now on providing examples of both. Most of the instructional materials that were created, particularly for my Jeet Kune Do and my Silat, my Jeet Kune Do and my Filipino martial arts programs were filmed with a partner doing the motion in the traditional way. Especially during these last 18 weeks, we've been really focused on providing content that shows people how to perform the requirements with a partner, and again, how to avoid falling into a figurative pit of non-training. This is not me lowering my standards. This is not me being overly nice. This is me trying to answer the question, how can I allow people to show proficiency and move forward in their training no matter what their circumstances are? So I don't want anybody who's doing their part, who is, sheltering in place by themselves. I don't want anybody who's doing that to feel like they're being punished because they don't have access to a partner. Okay, so that's our next drill. We're in the yellow sash curriculum. And again, my curriculum goes yellow, orange, green, blue, purple, brown, red, black sash. And is essentially a modified version of Sifu Francis Fong's Wing Chun. Okay, and organizationally, we're only kind of now starting to get the Wing Chun requirements on video, but it's been good. It's a nice system to work on solo if you don't have a partner available to you. All right, next one is going to be our Hun Sao. Hun Sao technically is this circling hand, but I want to make a very important point. You want to kind of Jop Sao in and intercept that line before you Hun, okay? And very important, don't do a big Hun Sao where you flare your elbow. So just keep that motion tight. But like I say, there's a little Jop Sao. So again, I'm going to illustrate this with a soft stick. If this is the line of the punch that's coming towards my face, if I rely purely, you can see it from here, as this, and obviously this is simulation, I'm not delusional, I know this is a soft stick, but go with me here. If this is the line of a Chung Choi, a vertical fist coming towards my face. If my hand is up, as that punch comes in, if I just use my Hun Sao, then I am risking the health of my face. I'm kind of betting the health of my face on my hand speed and my ability to scoop that line. Whereas if this is coming in and I chop, the last drill, I chop Sao, Hun Sao, I can cut that a little bit easier. And just that way, again, even though it just changes it slightly, you have, it's more like Jop Sao, Hun Sao to get technical, but in the curriculum, this one's just labeled as Hun Sao. So again, the difference is very minimal, but it's important to understand. If you're doing pure Hun Sao, and again, this is the line of the punch, you're assuming you're gonna scoop it and be accurate. If you chop in, you can intercept that line on the outside and then safely move into your Hun Sao. So once again, you have the benefit, everybody who's participating or watching, Conrad's actually doing the drill with Sasha, Karen's drilling it by herself. And, you know, currently within the organization, for the people that are members and earning rank at a distance, I accept both. All right. And once again, I mean, I wish that I could just, you know, magically give everybody a great, healthy training partner with an equal amount of martial arts knowledge in all of these subject areas as the participant. But let's make sure we have a system in place, again, so that participants can show their proficiency and they don't feel like they're being punished for being responsible and staying at home by themselves. Okay, so that's the next one, is our Hun Sao. Our last drill is just going to be our Pak Sao. And I always say the same thing, just from the standpoint of maybe like a visual flair factor. I know this one always feels a little anticlimactic, but it is super important. And we want to be doing our Pak Sao high on the forearm. We want to avoid doing it on the wrist. And we don't, even if I'm training it by myself, I don't want to pass center line. This is my center line, the imaginary line that bisects me vertically. If I pass center line in Wing Chun land, bad things are going to happen to me. Okay, so I want to be on center even as I'm expressing this. So that's the way we're doing it. So again, everybody watching and participating, you have the benefit. You know, right now Conrad's doing the Pak Saos, Sasha's feeding. They're going a little fast, but that's all good. And Karen is doing it solo. Okay, once again, those are our two methodologies. If you have somebody available to you, even if they don't train, most people can figure out how to give you this. If that's like a family member that you're stuck at home with, right? If you have nobody available to you, then we want to be able to work on it in the air. Okay. And we're just going to do this real quickly since I have the benefit of both. I have one pair and one person solo. So we're going to, for the yellow sash level, we're going to leave the drill section. We're going to go to the trapping section. So with this, you would be in a right lead, right side in front, right hand up, the back of your wrist, and yeah, that's it. And so we have Conrad will do the first drill is just Pak Sat Da. Slap the line open and hit with a knife hand. Now, what if I have no partner? Then I'm here. The left hand moves first, slap and hit, because that line has to be open before that Sat Sao can come out. And in this program, it's a little different than if you train Jeet Kune Do with me. Jeet Kune Do, I can give you a lot of leeway. You can pox out Gua Choi, you can pox out Pak Sut Da, you can pox out and use the Sokol as the reverse hammer fist. Here, I want a Sut Sao. And the reason I want a Sut Sao is the Gua Choi and the Sokol are not present in any of the forms in Wing Chun. So here I'm being a little bit of a Wing Chun stickler. If you're doing a Gua Choi or you're doing a Sokol, those are things that have probably come into your sphere of understanding because of Bruce Lee and maybe the interplay of Wing Chun and its influence on Bruce Lee. Those, the Gua Choi and the Sokol are not found in any of the forms. And I'm including the weapons forms and I'm including the dummy set along with the 3 empty-handed forms. Okay, so both versions, Pak Sut Da, this is by ourselves. And I'm completely happy to admit in my organization, we have dialogue all the time that doing the trapping in the air it's not the greatest. It doesn't feel that great. You might even, I don't want to insult anybody, you might even feel a little bit silly doing it. Within my organization, though, we've also stipulated that doing it solo is way better than not training at all. So again, we don't want to end up in a 6-foot hole, a figurative 6-foot hole of non-training by the time that everybody's healthy enough to come back together again and train. So if I'm by myself, I'm here. And I can work on various things. I can work on keeping my right hand completely still until that left hand would have slapped the line open. So there is stuff to work on. I will also stipulate, no, it's not as good as having a good training partner. That's the ideal. But let's stop this thing of, well, I can't have the ideal, so I'm not going to do anything at all. That's what I'm spending a lot of time shouting at the reins recently, where it's like, hey, we have the technology. You know, I've been saying this a lot lately too. Like if this were all going on in the mid-90s, forget about it, right? We'd be on the phone to each other, maybe our corded phones, like describing, or maybe we'd be sending some faxes. I don't even know, right? So it's way better than if we didn't have it. All right, so there's 3 trapping combinations. Trapping combination number 2. Start like 1, so slap with the left, hit with the right. Insert your left Ton Sao, Lop Sao with the left, and Chung Choi with the right. So Pak Sut Da, Ton Sao, Lop Chung Choi Da. In English, slap and hit with the knife hand, left showing hand, left grabbing hand, and right vertical fist. Okay, so you see Karen will work it in the air. Beautiful. And then Conrad's going to work it. Conrad and Sasha will go back and forth. Boom. Good. And for everybody training and for the other folks who are on the class with your video turned off, which by the way is totally fine, if you're feeling like there's an extra beat because you're going to this Ton Sao, just allow that to be there because this is foundational. Even if you want to expedite things, right? 1, 2, 3. I still want that second beat to be laying that Ton Sao in place. And again, based on your background, that might feel odd because maybe you're used to more expedited trapping combinations, especially if you have a JKD background. Okay, so just bear with me because remember, we're in the first level. We're going from no ranking to yellow sash. And I'll explain this super briefly. In my own practice, for all the adult programs, when adults sign up, I don't give them a white symbol of ranking like I do in the kids class. And the reason I do that is for the kids, the belt, especially in the beginning, is the most important thing, more important than anything. And so in the very beginning, they have to have that white belt to keep them motivated. And eventually, if they stick with it, they realize that the belts are byproducts of consistent training, having fun, and keeping a handle on their requirements. Adults, I don't really do that. I don't, oh, you just signed up for Wing Chun, here's your white sash. You have nothing, and then you train, and then you earn your yellow sash. That's how I prefer to do it. All right, trapping combo 3. Start with slap and hit, that's the same. Start with insert your left tonsao, that's the same as number 2, but then slap with the right and satsao with the left. So you start by attacking the right side with a pak satda, you insert your left tonsao, you finish by pak sao with the right and satsao with the left. So you start by attacking the right side, you finish by scoring on the left side. So pak sat, slap with your left, knife hand with the right, left showing hand, slap with the right, and then knife hand with the left. So the first 2 beats are the same as trapping combo 1. There you go, Conrad, that's it. So first 2 beats, sir, 1, 2 are the same, then right pak sao and left satsao. So yep, let me see again. Boom, Sasha. And now slap with your right and reverse. You got it, Sasha. Good. That was great. Good. Karen, looks good. Good, good, good. Yeah, and stick with the knife hands, everybody, just because this is the Wing Chun curriculum, and the Wing Chun curriculum, it is what it is, and you don't have as much wiggle room as you do in the trapping in the Junfan requirements, because the Junfan's already been filtered and refiltered and then refiltered again for you. This, you're building some things here, so just make sure you have what's supposed to be there. Cool. Yeah, so Conrad, if you want to add finishes, that's fine. Just make sure that the trapping combo is done the way it's supposed to be done. But then if you want to add in other things, that's fine. I know maybe some traditional Wing Chun teachers would get very angry at me for saying that, but I'm not very traditional Wing Chun. I love Wing Chun. I think Wing Chun's an awesome system, and I'll tell you some of the things before we run out of time that I really like about Sifu Fong's approach. Okay, so that's very good. Time. That's all of our trapping, both the drills. Remember, the drills was in our our sort of pigeon-toed training stance, our formal stance. The trapping, which everybody just saw, is modified as in a right lead. I want to go over Selim Tao once, and then I want to spend the rest of the time talking about wooden dummy training without a wooden dummy. Okay, so feet together, hands down, hands are going to rise up. They're going to come to your side. You're not touching your ribs. There's space here. You're going to bend at the knees, open your toes, and open your heels. Left hand is on top. Right hand is in front. Bring it back. Your left hand, arms, knuckles pointed towards the floor for a second until you execute this chung choi. Tan sao, this hoons all the way until your palm is out, and then you bring your fingers together like you're grabbing somebody's clothes. Okay, so you have your chung choi, tan sao, hoon sao, sao kun is this retracting hand. As this right hand comes in, my left tan sao is going to come out. Now, this is my interpretation. If you really watch Sifu Fong today, he's got one big definitive hoon sao, and then this wu sao starts to come in, and it just drops into fuk sao. This fuk sao comes out, and then today, if you ask me, it looks like he just goes straight back to wu sao. And we do 3, I count the Fuchsau, so that was 2. The old way, oh, I wonder if I can even do it. I would do a Hunsao, like a big definitive Hunsao every time. But today, again, to me, it only looks like the first one. He does that, and then everything else, it just kind of comes here. Then we do 3 or 4, we count the Fuchsaus, Paksao, Jikjern, Tonsao, Hunsao, Sao Kun. As it comes in, the right hand is going to repeat that sequence. So I'll call this all in English. This is all still session 1. Circling hand to guarding hand. The guarding hand starts moving in. We drop into this resting hand and back out. Guarding hand, 2, 3, slapping hand, palm strike with your fingers vertical, showing hand, circling hand, retracting hand. Okay, that is also way faster than traditionally session 1 would be done. Like I'm not even, if you YouTube Selim Tao, this honestly, this might even be a little bit fast, what I'm doing here, right? That's my first rep. Okay, but traditionally it's done much slower. All right, but we only have an hour. So session 2, escape from grabs. Left hand, right hand. Everybody don't move. There's no footwork. I'm just showing you something. This comes up to your kidneys, backs of your hands, and pushes down. Okay, so let's do all that together, and then the rest you'll be able to see. Left hand, right hand, arm it and push. Push down in front of you. Lansao with your left hand on top. Open, double Satsao. Come back to your right hand is on top. Swing out, your palms are facing each other. Double palm up. Push down with the heels of your hands. Double BUG. Push down lower than before. Hands rise up, and you're done. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the left is on top. 6, 7, and the right is on top. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13 motions in session 2. Session 3, multiple strikes with the same hand. Left hand's going to go first. Paksao, this withdraws into my Wander. Circle it. Done. 1, 2, 3. Okay, left hand comes out. High, low, high, circle, low Wander, back up, circle, and it's done. Tonsao, Gansao, Tonsao, Hunsao, into a low Wander, and back up to Tonsao, finished. Bongsao, Tonsao, Wander, finished. 1, 2, 3, Hunsao, Sao Kun. Left hand palm down, palm up, right hand wipes it. Turn, switch, turn, switch, and the right hand holds this center line. 1 left, right, left Chung Choi, Tonsao, Hunsao, Sao Kun. Turn slightly to your left, right foot meets the left, and push down. Okay. We spent a lot of time, I hate to sound like a cliche, we spent a lot of time doing Selim Tao and breaking it down. In the, I think total we're going to end up with 16 Wing Chun, 16 or 17 with today, Wing Chun classes. Please make sure you are subscribed to my YouTube channel. You can go back and rewatch all of those to your heart's content, okay? Or even better, join my online martial arts learning community and keep taking Wing Chun classes on Monday. But if you're unable to do that, those complimentary hours are there for you. All right. Wing Chun dummy. You have no dummy. How are you going to train it? Your feet are together. Your arms go straight out. Okay, so you would put your fingertips straight over the arms so that your fingertips are touching the body of the dummy itself. Open your toes and open your heels the usual way. Double Taksao on the arms. And we're now ready to do the form, okay? I'm going to probably do the same thing I did Monday. That way you have 2 videos that you can refer back to. If you don't understand exactly what you're doing, well, that's okay. Try to learn the form in the air, and then in the future, we'll try to connect in some way. I will, the next time I'm in front of an actual dummy, I will have somebody hold a cell phone and just briefly show what would actually be going on. Again, this is better than not doing it. And this will help you, when you have access to a dummy, be able to do it faster than if you had no training. Okay, so session 1A, left hand, and 1, and 2. You have this palm strike, and 3, and 4, right bongs out. And 5, you step in with your right foot, taunts out, and you have this palm strike. And 6, left hand up, right hand down. And 7, you're making your way across the dummy. And 8, now here's the same kind of offense on the other side of the dummy. And 9, right hand's up, left hand's down. And 10, right finger's down, left finger's up. And 11, and then they all end with the same 2 beats, mostly all of them. Okay, double Jutsao for 12 and double Toksao for 13. All right, so again, and 1, left hand, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 5, and 6, left hand up, right hand down, and 7, switch that, and 8, left ton, right strike, and 9, left hand down, right hand up, and 10, right hand circles over, fingers down, left hand fingers up, and 11, okay, you kind of circle here, and then vertical palm strike, Jik Chun, and 12, double Jutsao, and 13, double Toksao, okay? So at speed with no explanations, and the transitory or transitional beats are super important. And 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 5, and 6, and 7, and 8, and 9, and 10, and 11, and 12, and 13. Okay, how much time do I have? Okay, I have a reasonable amount of time. So let's not even use Wing Chun terms. Let's kind of break this down conceptually. One hand inserted, horizontal palm strike, double Jutsao, a bong sao that you rode into this strike, 2 beats of transition across the dummy into the same strike on the other side. Then coming to posture so that you can kind of circle your hands around the dummy for 1 final strike, double Jutsao, double Toksao. Okay, I know that was very general, and I know if you have no dummy training, or maybe you only know the JKD sets, right now you're like, I don't even know what's happening. Just try to follow along. The recordings will be available to you too. You can go back and view those as necessary. Just try to think about what I was saying in terms of a concept, right? A concept of what you were doing. One hand, horizontal palm strike, double Jutsao, a bong sao that you ride into this first strike. 2 beats of transition across the dummy to move into the same strike on the other side. Coming back to just a double control position to wrap your hands around the dummy for 1 final strike, and then the Jutsao Toksao that ends most everything. Okay, so that's session 1A. The reason I've taken the time to break it down that way twice is now we're going to try session 1B, which conceptually is very, very, very similar to session 1A with a few minor differences, and namely, we're starting on the other side. Okay, so measure the same way so that when you get a real dummy in front of you, you know how to measure. and how to set up. That's something you can work on right now without a dummy. Okay, ready? And 1, right hand, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 5, and 6, and 7, and 8, and 9. This part's a little bit different. And 10, palm up right and fingers down on the left. And 11, that goes low. And 12, and 13. Okay, so again, conceptually, very similar. One hand enters, this time it's the right. Horizontal palm strike, this time it's the left. Juts out for the 3rd beat. A bong sao on the 4th beat that you ride into this palm strike. Now on the other side, on the 5th beat. 6 and 7, so 2 beats of transition across the dummy into 8, which is the same, sorry everybody, Tonsao strike that we did before. Boom, you settle both arms, you wrap both arms around to set up for one final strike, which this time is the left hand to kind of the midline or of the dummy. You circle this back around, juts out, talks out. So you already know the last 2 beats. The last 2 beats are juts out, talks out. Conceptually, it's the same as 1A. Okay, and right there, if you have a Wing Chun background, you might be saying, why aren't you saying session 1 and session 2? Sifu Fong, he's been very clear about some things. He's really funny that way because he likes to tell stories about Caucasian people telling him that he's not traditional because he made changes. And then he sort of not so subtly reminds those white people that he got his black sash in Hong Kong and had to kick a lot of rear end for that. And how much more traditional do you want him to be? And if you mean you're not traditional, if that equals you're modifying a few things to make things a little bit more learnable, then he's like, yeah, okay. If that's what you mean by not traditional, I'll take that. So instead of 10 sessions, do we do exercises with the rings? We will work the rings for Chi Sao, but in the interest of honesty and transparency, not as much. We'll work them if we're by ourselves. Your question is actually really good, Karen. We've always just tried to spend more time doing Chi Sao when possible. So this might be a really good time, based on the reality of now, to fall back to our wooden ring training. That's a good question. So the numbering, though, there, he calls it 1A and 1B. Then he's put, then we have 5A and 5B, which is the bow pie or po pie, depending on how you want to anglicize it. We do that on both sides, and starting with both the right hand and then finishing that and then doing it with the left hand as well. And then Sifu has combined the last 2 sessions that most people know is 9 and 10, and we end up with 8 sessions. That's just the way that he's ordered it. And I you know, conceptually, it's pretty much the same main ideas as you would see no matter what lineage. Okay, so 1A and 1B, I'm going to run through these real quickly and then go through session 2. Okay, so left hand starts for 1A, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 9 and 10 and 11 and 12 and 13. Session 1B, right hand starts, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 9 and 10 and 11 and 12 and 13. Okay, session 2, Pak Sao session. All right, so we're ready to go. 3 Pak-Saos starting with your right hand. And 1, and 2, and 3. And then left Jop Sao, and 4, left Sut Sao, and 5, left Lop Sao, right Chung Choi low, and 6. Repeat that with your right hand and then the left. And 7, and 8, and 9, and 10, and 11. So that's not too hard, right? 3 Pak-Saos, Jop Sao, Sut Sao, Lop Sao, Chung Choi, Jop Sao, Sut Sao, Lop Sao, Chung Choi. So right hand's going to start. And 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 5, and 6, and 7, and 8, and 9. Double Jut Sao, double Tok Sao for 10 and 11. One more time. And 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 5, and 6, and 7, and 8, and 9, and 10, and 11. Okay? That's session 2, Pak-Sao session, because it starts with 3 Pak-Saos. My seniors, Sifu Alex and Guru Luigi of New Breed Martial Arts out of Queens, and Simo Jane, Sifu Alex's wife, but she's also an amazing martial artist. All 3 of those people are very much my seniors. They've always been very close friends to me, and guiding my growth. I bring them up when they start their students on the dummy. They start with session 2, and the reason they do that, there's no footwork. And 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 5, and 6, 7, and 8, and 9, and 10, and 11. Whereas, and 1, and 2, and 3, in, moving around. 1A and 1B has footwork. So be that as it may, though, I just wanted to start you off in order. Okay, so the nice part, everybody, is if you learn this or even get a handle on learning it-ish, you almost have a third of the wooden dummy available to you. Okay, so very important, and I can get this in time and then wrap up and stay on time for our 3 remaining sessions. So at Sifu Fong's Academy, for example, I think there are 4 or 5 dummies, and I mean, that's awesome. I wish I had even 1 right now, right? But take an instructor conference, for example. At an instructor conference, Sifu Fong's Wing Chun Instructor Association, let's take a light example. Let's say that there's 20 people on the floor. Well, if there's 20 people on the floor and there's 5 dummies, obviously that's 5 groups of 4. So the methodology with the counting is really quite ingenious. And this comes straight from Sifu Fong. I would never try to pass anything that doesn't belong to me off as my own. And I would encourage everybody never to do that in any endeavor. You should always give credit to your sources. Okay, so the 20 people are going to work on the dummy, let's say for an hour and a half of a 4-hour day, just for example. The senior most people, or the people that are just the most up and at 'em, usually the senior most though, because he likes to run the whole form, will get on the dummies first. Okay, so you have 5 people. Then you would have 5 lines of 3 other people standing single file behind that person waiting to get on the dummy. Rather than the 15 people that don't have a dummy not being able to train, the people on the dummy, everybody in the room starts doing the form and they start counting it together. The people in line do it in the air. So if you're ahead of me and you're on the dummy with your back facing me, we're all starting together. Okay, session 1A, ready, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 5, and 6, and 7, and 8, and 9, and 10, and 11, and 12, and 13. And sometimes he'll have people do more than one session. Like if it was my class, based on what we just did, we might just do 1A, 1B, and session 2, because that's what we were working on. Once those people have gone through it, they go to the back of the line. The next person in the line goes up to the dummy. They're on the dummy, the people behind them, even the people that were just on the dummy, everybody in the room does it. Everybody is synchronized. Everybody is counting verbally out loud together. And you also have the, which I can't properly recreate for you, and 1, and 2, and 3. The dummy arms are moving, and it becomes this super cool thing where everybody's kind of unified and working on this thing together. And there's not this thing of, well, I'm waiting for my turn for the dummy, so I can't train yet. No, everybody in the room's working on it together, and it's a really, really, really neat training modality. Okay, so if you ever run a Wing Chun class, or you're learning the forms or whatever it may be, that's a really brilliant way to account for having more students in class than dummies. And like even my old garage class in Southern California, I only had one Wing Chun dummy. We'd have small groups, maybe 3 people, sometimes maybe 10 people. And that was a methodology that we would use so everybody could train despite only having one dummy. All right. Thanks so much, everybody. We're going to bow this class out, and I'm going to stop the recording. Chinese, Filipino, Thai, Indonesian, French and Dog Brothers, Japanese. All right. Thank you so much for joining me for Wing Chun.